Yo, what is up guys? It's your boy D2 Titans Only, and today I am bringing you guys a Prismatic Titan build that literally makes nerfed consecration the pinnacle of all melee abilities. I know, you're probably skeptical or wondering how something that was nerfed into the ground can be the pinnacle of all melee abilities. Well, sit back, watch, and I'll show you. But before that, if you guys have a build that you can't stop using or is super overpowered and you think it would make a great build video, let me know in the comments. Alright, back to the pinnacle of melee abilities. Whenever I use consecration in this build, it nukes everything, as consecration does, but it also makes me amplified. Radiant has the ability to create an ionic trace, firesprite, orb of power, unraveling rounds, regenerate health, ignite any enemies it hits, jolts them, and it grants woven mail. Oh, and guys, don't forget, we can pair bolt charge with it for even more damage. If you're wondering how this is even possible, it starts with the Prismatic subclass and the Titan Strand super Blade Fury. Blade Fury is a top of the line roaming super that creates 2 woven blades when you cast it. You can use the blades to light attack nearby targets, slashing them and severing them on hit. It also deals bonus damage to suspended targets. Blade Fury also has a heavy attack that is charged by hitting your light attacks. If you use your heavy attack, it will unleash an upward slash that creates 2 projectiles that suspend targets. Blade Fury is great for ad clear, crowd control, and big, and I mean big, damage. For the abilities in this build, we are going to be using Shackle Grenade so that we can suspend targets anytime we use our grenade, Frenzied Blade so that we have 3 empowered melee abilities and we can sever targets on impact to reduce incoming damage, and Rally Barricade for damage resist, reload speed, and to taunt nearby PvE enemies. Now let's get into what makes this build and melee ability really pop, our aspects. The aspects we are running are Consecration and Knockout. Consecration is going to allow us to use the famous Titan Hammer Slam anytime we double activate our melee ability while sliding. When activated, it's going to send out a solar wave that scorches and ignites enemies in its path. While Knockout is going to allow our melee ability to infuse with arc energy anytime we critically wound or break a target shield. Knockout also amplifies us and restores health when we defeat targets, making us extremely hard to kill. And since we are amplified, we will gain 15% increase to damage resistance, which is awesome. Moving into the next part of our build, we are going to be amplifying our melee ability even more and making this thing the pinnacle of all melee abilities. For the first fragment, I opted into running the Facet of Blessing so that anytime we get a melee final blow, we will begin health regeneration, and while Transcendence, this applies to our allies. This aspect actually works really well with Knockout because Knockout only regenerates a set amount of health while the Facet of Blessing begins the regeneration process. The next fragment we are running is the Facet of Dawn, which is going to grant us Radiant anytime we get a powered melee hit. And if you don't know what Radiant does, it buffs our weapon damage and allows us to deal with barrier champions while it is active. Transcendent melee kills will also grant our allies Radiant. For our third fragment, we are going to be using the Facet of Bravery, which is going to grant us volatile rounds for any enemy we kill with the grenade, and unraveling rounds for any enemy we kill with our melee. This will also help us deal with anti-barrier champions and provide great wave clear. Now this is where things start to get interesting. For our fourth fragment in this build, we are running the Facet of Purpose, which will grant us woven mail anytime we pick up an orb of power, since we are pairing it with the Strand super Blades of Fury. And with the armor mods we will be running, we will generate orbs of power anytime we get a melee kill. And last but not least, for our final fragment, we are going to be running the Facet of Awakening. This fragment is actually pretty insane. The Facet of Awakening is going to create an elemental pickup anytime we rapidly defeat targets with a damage type. So anytime we get multiple kills with Consecration, we are going to generate a Firesprite, which will also grant us grenade energy. But that's not the only elemental pickup our melee ability is going to generate. It's also going to generate an Ionic Trace. We're going to be able to generate an Ionic Trace because we're pairing it with the Titan class exotic armor, the Stoicism, with the armor perks, the Spirit of Inmost Light and the Spirit of Contact. The Spirit of Contact is going to chain lightning anytime we damage a target with a powered melee, jolting them. And if it kills multiple targets, it will also generate an Ionic Trace for us. Are you guys still skeptical? Well, if you are, at least throw this build on and give it a try. I promise you won't regret it. Anyway, we're also pairing it with the Spirit of Inmost Light, which is going to grant us scaling ability regeneration that stacks up to 2 times when we use our abilities, helping us regenerate our abilities insanely fast. Moving along to weapon recommendations, all 3 weapons I'm about to mention work really well with this build. The first one is the Barodiad. This gun is just a monster in general, and pairing it with unraveling rounds helps you absolutely delete enemies. The second weapon is the Lotus Eater with destabilizing rounds and repulsor brace. Destabilizing make things go boom, and repulsor adds another buff to us by granting us overshield anytime we kill targets with a void debuff, which is absolutely disgusting. And then for our third and final weapon, run the Watchful Eye with Rolling Storm and stack up some Bolt Charge to use with your already absolutely nuts melee ability. Bolt Charge added on to this insane melee is overkill, but it is the most satisfying thing ever to clear an entire room of yellow bars with one melee ability. Now let's jump into another important part of this build, our armor mods. For the helmet, run Harmonic Siphon, Heavy Ammo Finder, and Special Ammo Finder. For the gauntlets, run Firepower and Heavy Handed so our grenades and empowered melee final blows create orbs of power. For the chest piece, just run whatever resistance mods fit the encounter. For our legs, run double Better Already and Absolution. And for the exotic armor piece, run double Distribution and Outreach for ability cooldown. For your armor stats, prioritize resilience and strength followed up by discipline so that we are tanky as possible and generate as much ability energy as we can naturally. Moving on to the seasonal artifact mod, we're going to focus on buffing up our strand element a bit more, so make sure you have these mods on. Unraveling orbs, so that anytime we pick up an orb of power or a tangle, we get unraveling rounds. Vile weave, so that we can sever targets by hitting them with tangles. Disruptor spike, so that the effects of sever and exhaust are improved. Elemental siphon, so that anytime we get rapid strand kills, it grants a tangle. Horde shuttle, so that damaging targets with unraveling rounds has a chance to spawn a threadling, and 2 shreds, so that dealing sustained damage to severed targets unravels them and creates a hotspot of strand energy that grants woven mail. Those are only 6 of the 12 seasonal modification slots, so feel free to experiment with the other slots. Those just make it really good for strand. If you like this video and want to see more like it, please click the video on your screen and give it a like. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace!